Business Report.
Good evening. Tonight, the government's decision to apply VAT on imported fabric rather than a fixed cess of 100 rupees per kilogram has been applauded by the Sri Lanka Apparel Brands Association. With 61,890 arrivals in the first 9 days of November, a 13.2% rise of the same period last year, Sri Lanka's tourism sector began the winter season on a high note. Positive market confidence helped Colombo stocks maintain their upward trajectory today. And Asian equities saw a decline as the recent surge in technology shares stalled. A surge in AI stocks and a hope for a possible conclusion to the protracted US government shutdown.
From Studio 24C, here's Anuradi Vikramasinghe.
Good evening and welcome to the nightly business report on Derana news channel. The Sri Lanka Apparel Brands Association has welcomed the government's decision to impose VAT on imported fabric instead of a fixed cess of 100 rupees per kilogram. The move is expected to standardize taxation and provide clarity for the apparel industry.
The Sri Lankan Apparel Brands Association has welcomed the budget measures addressing key industry concerns, particularly in imposition of VAT on imported fabrics. SLABA noted that this move allows local apparel makers who are subject to VAT on retail sales to claim input credit. The association praised the government for responding to industry appeals and taking decisive action to ensure fair competition. SLABA President Fasalem Faus highlighted that these measures support local manufacturers and SMEs, which are crucial for economic growth and employment. Provisions for cess and duty revisions along with investments and industrial estates and digital tax administration align with SLBA's recommendations. The association expressed gratitude to the Minister of Industries, Minister of Finance and Inland Revenue Department along with Sri Lanka Customs for engaging with industry stakeholders.
Sri Lanka's 2026 budget emphasizes policy predictability, fiscal consolidation and disciplined debt management, according to the Ceylon Chamber of Commerce. The chamber also highlighted that consistent fiscal policies are essential for sustaining growth, controlling inflation and boosting investor confidence. It urged the government to convert fiscal overperformance into productive public investments, particularly in infrastructure, digital services, transport, tourism, energy, education, health and agriculture. The CCC stressed that effective implementation of key proposals, stronger tax administration and improved public sector efficiencies are critical for achieving budget goals. It called for a targeted investment incentive package to attract large-scale export-oriented and technology-driven investments to support the 7% growth target. The chamber also recommended fast-tracking SOE and PPP reforms and clarifying the Economic Transformation Act to strengthen investor confidence and facilitate economic transformation. Sri Lanka's tourism industry kicked off the winter season on a strong note, recording 61,890 arrivals in the first 9 days of November, a 13.2% increase compared to the same period last year.
The industry is currently tracking slightly above the lower scenario monthly target of 203,259 visitors. However, a stronger pickup is needed to meet the conservative scenario target of 232,176 arrivals for the month. A notable highlight in early November is the surge in Russian tourists, who have emerged as the second largest source market. Russia contributed 8,220 visitors, or 13.3% of total arrivals, while India retained the top spot with 15,541 tourists, accounting for 25.1%. Germany and the United Kingdom followed the third and fourth positions, with 4,740 and 4,450 arrivals respectively. From January 1st to November 9th, Sri Lanka recorded 1,952,577 visitors, reflecting a strong 16.5% year-on-year growth. Industry analysts note that sustained air connectivity and targeted winter promotions could help maintain this growth trajectory. Tourism stakeholders remain optimistic that the sector will close 2025 on a high note, reinforcing its role in the country's economic recovery.
Let's take a short break now. This is the Nightly Business Report. Welcome back to the Nightly Business Report. Colombo stocks continued their upward trend today, supported by positive market sentiment. The all-share price index recorded modest gains, reflecting steady investor confidence. Meanwhile, the S&P SL20 also showed upward momentum. For further insights on this, we have Dilhari Dias from First Capital Holdings.
Thank you, Anuradhi. Bolstered by the positive note at the beginning of the week, the Colombo Bourse moved further up today, where the all-share price index closed at 23,582, gaining approximately 80 points. Although the trading session looked a bit volatile during the first half, it sustained the upward momentum during the latter half of the day. Meanwhile, both retail and high net worth investors were highly active on trading. Moreover, the total number of negative contributors to the all-share price index overweighed the positive contributors, while Richard Peris and Company, Dialog Asiata plc, DFCC Bank, Access Engineering plc and Hatton National Bank were the key positive drivers for the day. Market turnover stood at 8.2 billion rupees, which is 21% higher than the monthly average of 6.8 billion rupees. Similar to yesterday, the capital goods sector led market activity, accounting for 29% of total turnover, followed by the banking and food, beverage and tobacco sectors, which collectively contributed 35%. The top three price gainers were Radiant Gems International plc, Richard Peris and Company and Richard Peris Exports plc, while the top three price losers were SMB Finance plc non-voting, Kotmale Holdings plc and Paragon Ceylon plc. Thank you.
Sri Lanka's weekly average weighted prime lending rate rose 11 bps to 8.42% for the week ending the 7th of November 2025, while broad money grew 10.9% year-on-year in September. The all-share price index climbed 2.34% to 23,338.25 points, reflecting positive momentum in the stock market. For further insights on this, we have Ranjan Ranthunga from First Capital Holdings.
Thank you, Anuradhi. Total credit for the month of September 2025 increased by 126.7 billion rupees, largely due to the sharp increase observed on the private sector credit, which increased by 236.3 billion rupees during the month. The growth in private sector credit was largely driven by vehicle imports, which saw $1.8 billion of LCs opened for up to the first 10 months of 2025. With the surge observed in the private sector credit growth, the total credit disbursed to the private sector for the first 9 months increased to 1.36 trillion rupees, or 16.7% year to date. Despite the growth observed in the private sector credit, the state sector credit recorded a decline for the second consecutive month by 109.6 billion rupees, bringing the total credit disbursed to the state for the first 9 months to negative 37.2 billion rupees. The decline in state credit during the September 2025 was largely due to the settlements by the government to the central bank as well as the banks, which totaled to 60.7 billion rupees and 39.9 billion rupees respectively. Meanwhile, AWPLR for the week ended 7th November was recorded at 8.42%, slightly increasing by 11 basis points compared to the previous week. Liquidity shortfalls among the private banks amidst the sharp growth in private sector credit are identified as main causes of the slight increase in lending rates during the period. Thank you.
Gold prices climbed to a nearly 3-week high today, buoyed by growing expectations of a U.S. Federal Reserve rate cut in December and optimism over the resolution of the U.S. government shutdown. Spot gold rose 0.7% to $4,142.72 per ounce, reaching its highest level since October 23rd, while U.S. gold futures for December delivery gained 0.7% to $4,148.80 per ounce. The U.S. Senate recently passed a deal to restore federal funding, potentially ending the longest government shutdown in the country's history. Investors are now closely monitoring the government reopening, which could provide fresh insights into the Fed's upcoming interest rate decisions. Safe haven demand for gold remains supported amid this uncertainty, reinforcing its appeal as a hedge against economic volatility. Oil prices dipped in Asian trading today as oversupply concerns outweighed optimism over the U.S. government shutdown resolution. Brent crude futures fell 0.2% to $63.94 per barrel, while U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude declined 14 cents or 0.2% to $59.99 per barrel. Both benchmarks had gained around 40 cents in the previous session, and earlier this month, OPEC Plus agreed to increase December output targets by 137,000 barrels per day, continuing the same pace as October and November, with a pause planned for early next year. Progress towards ending the longest government shutdown in U.S. history has boosted broader markets following Senate approval of a funding compromise. Despite the optimism, concerns about global crude oversupply are keeping a lid on oil prices. The Sri Lankan rupee strengthened slightly against the US dollar at commercial banks today compared to yesterday. The US dollar's buying rate declined from 299 rupees and 52 cents to 299 rupees and 3 cents, while the selling rate eased from 308 rupees to 307 rupees and 50 cents. This modest appreciation reflects a stable demand-supply balance in the local foreign exchange market. With that, let's take a closer look at how the Sri Lankan rupee is performing against other major global currencies. Short break now. This is the Nightly Business Report. Welcome back to the Nightly Business Report. Maxon Solar, in partnership with MacTiles, unveiled Sri Lanka's largest rooftop solar installation at the MacTiles factory in Bandaragama. The project has a capacity of 10 megawatts, featuring over 18,000 high-efficiency solar panels and advanced inverter systems.
The 10 megawatt installation is expected to generate around 12 gigawatt per hour of clean energy annually and reduce approximately 8,000 tons of carbon emissions each year. The solar system supplies renewable energy directly to the plant, reducing reliance on grid power while supporting the national energy network. Maxon Solar CEO Sajjad Salihin highlighted the project's focus on vision, innovation and sustainability, emphasizing industrial adoption of renewable energy. The project, designed and commissioned entirely by Maxon Solar's in-house team, reinforces the company's leadership in Sri Lanka's renewable energy sector and supports the national target of 70% renewable energy by 2032.
David Pieris Aviation Private Limited has strengthened its footprint in Sri Lanka's domestic aviation sector after receiving its air operator certificate and operations specifications from the Civil Aviation Authority. With full certification secured, the company now operates charter flights to key destinations across the country, offering greater convenience, reliability and safety. This milestone marks its transition from third-party operations to a fully licensed domestic airline operator. Operating with the Cessna Grand Caravan, David Pieris Aviation caters to the growing demand for private and charter flights among business and leisure travelers. Chairman Joan Pieris said the airline's mission is to redefine domestic connectivity by providing quick, safe and comfortable air travel. The company plans to expand its domestic network and increase flight frequency, supporting tourism and regional economic growth across Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka Customs has approved the release of 625 BYD vehicles previously held under bank and company liens following a court-mediated agreement. The decision covers multiple categories, including the auto premium and auto dynamic models.
The release of the 625 BYD vehicles come after a petition filed by the private company that imported them, requesting customs to issue clearance orders. Sri Lanka Customs expressed its agreement to proposal during the hearing at the Court of Appeal. The vehicles included categories such as Auto Premium Kilowatt 70, Auto Dynamic Kilowatt 45, Auto Premium Kilowatt 45 and Dolphin Dynamic Kilowatt 70. Additional Solicitor General Sumati Dharmavardhana represented customs and informed the court of the decision. Presidential Counsel Farzana Jamil, representing the petitioner, also expressed agreement with the proposal. Following the agreement, formal clearance orders have been issued to release these vehicles. This move is expected to ease inventory backlogs and support the domestic electric vehicle market.
The National Sales Awards 2025, organized by the Sri Lanka Institute of Marketing, celebrated the nation's most outstanding sales professionals at its grand finale. Held under the theme Ambassadors of Sales and the tagline The Force Behind the Figures, the event recognized excellence, professionalism and leadership in the sales industry. SLIM President Professor Devasiri N. Jayantha highlighted the impressive rise in female participation among the 1,200 entries received this year. Vice President Events and Sustainability Enoch Pereira stated that the awards serve as an inspiring platform for sales professionals to develop and advance their careers. Vice President Education and Research Dr. Dilhan Sampath Jayatilaka noted that NSA has been endorsed by the Industry and Entrepreneurship Development Ministry for its contribution to SME growth and entrepreneurship. AIA Group Limited reported a 25% increase in third quarter VONB, reflecting strong business growth. The growth is measured on a constant exchange rate basis, highlighting consistent performance across markets.
The company achieved double-digit VONB growth in 11 of its 18 markets, highlighting consistent regional performance. Premier agency AIA's key distribution channel grew 19% and accounted for over 70% of the group's VONB. Recruitment momentum remained strong with an 18% increase in new agents, boosting the active agent base. The partnership distribution channel, including independent financial advisors and bancassurance, saw VONB surged 46%. AIA Hong Kong achieved a record quarterly VONB, supported by both domestic and mainland Chinese visitor segments. CEO Lee Yuan Seong emphasized that continued high-quality new business will expand the in-force portfolio, driving long-term earnings and cash generation. Sir Mark Tucker has returned as independent non-executive chairman, bringing strategic leadership and extensive Asia expertise.
Salan Bank PLC has partnered with the Kadala Art of Living 2025 exhibition as the title partner for its 14th consecutive year. The exhibition, Sri Lanka's largest lifestyle event, will be held from 14th to 16th November 2025 at the BMICH, showcasing a wide range of lifestyle and housing solutions. As title partner, Salan Bank will offer banking products including home and personal loans, Salan solar loans, credit cards, savings accounts and digital banking services. Home loan specialists will be available to guide customers through the loan process, ensuring competitive rates and personalized financial advice. Salan Solar Loans will also be featured, promoting sustainable energy solutions in collaboration with an expanding network of merchant partners. The exhibition, organized by Asia Exhibition and Conventions Private Limited, will feature over 200 trade stalls offering home decor, real estate, furniture, appliances and more. Let's take a short commercial break. Global business updates coming on the other side. This is the Nightly Business Report. Welcome back to the Nightly Business Report. Asian stocks traded lower today as the recent rally in technology shares lost momentum. Wall Street, meanwhile, rose overnight, boosted by a rebound in AI stocks and optimism over a potential end to the prolonged US government shutdown. Japan's bank lending grew 4.1% in October, matching expectations and marking the fastest pace since April 2021. Chinese markets fell, with the Shanghai Composite down 0.45% and the Shenzhen Component dropping 0.6% as investors booked profits after 10-year highs. Hong Kong's Hang Seng Index reversed Monday's gains, falling 0.44%, led by declines in consumer shares. India's Sensex slipped 0.41% into 83,224 points, while the rupee remained steady around 88 rupees and 7 cents per US dollar amid cautious optimism on potential US-India trade deals. Car sales in China edged down 0.8% to 2.27 million units last month versus a 6.6% increase in September, while the growth in sales of electric vehicles and plug-in hybrids slowed with a 7.3% rise against a 15.5% gain in September.
China's car sales fell unexpectedly in October from a year earlier to end 8 months of growth. That's according to data from the China Passenger Car Association on Monday. It showed consumer sentiment weakened amid reduced tax exemptions and government subsidies. Car sales edged down 0.8% to 2.27 million units last month. That was compared to a 6.6% increase in September. Growth in sales of electric vehicles and plug-in hybrids also slowed to a 7.3% rise against a more than 15% gain in September. Purchase tax breaks of up to $4,200 for EVs and plug-in hybrids are due to halve from next year. Meanwhile, government subsidies that drove more than 12 million auto trade-ins this year are gradually slowing as the consumer subsidy scheme draws to a close. Weaker demand only intensifies competition in the world's largest auto market. Local EV bellwether BYD extended a sales decline last month, while Geely and Leapmotor both refreshed sales records, leading a challenge against BYD in the budget segment.
Thank you for watching the Nightly Business Report on Other Derana News channel. We value your opinion, so please share your thoughts and feedback with us through email at feedback.adncenglish@derana.lk or via WhatsApp at 076-805-7933. We'll see you again tomorrow with the latest updates in the business globe. Vinod Varnasurya will be joining you next with Other Derana Sports Central. Until then, I'm Anuradhi Vikramasinghe. Thank you very much for watching. Have a good night.